it started with me having the confidence and the appropriate mindset, because you can't teach your child to have confidence and believe in something that you don't have confidence in, and that you don't believe in. So I say this. So I definitely feel like it's more than necessary to have printed material and curriculum that you're using while homeschooling here in Gambia. And the reason for that is because the internet connection is not always 100%. So that was one of those things that I had to learn the hard way. Whenever I moved here to Gambia, I would try to depend on like the online resources that I was using in America. So I was using for years timeforlearning.com, and then I was using education.com. Wonderful resources for homeschoolers of all, basically from pre-K to up until 12th grade. Both of those are excellent resources. So I was trying to use online resources whenever I got here to Gambia, and I would run into like preparing an assignment and getting my child online, and then having issues with the internet connection. And then sometimes the internet would just be out for the entire day or like half the day. So you can imagine that if you don't have backup material, that could ruin your day of homeschooling. So I would definitely say that it's worth keeping that in mind. That you may want to go to a bookstore or a teaching store and purchase some material to have backup work if you're planning on using online resources for your homeschooling. So far, I've been using Timbuktu Bookstore, and I've been able to find everything that I needed and everything that I was used to having, to support like homeschooling when I was in the U.S. So, I was able to find just all the curriculum for different grade levels. I was able to find reading books, arts and craft material, games, puzzles, whatever it was that I would have normally gotten from like Barnes and Noble bookstore in America, I was able to find at Timbuktu. Timbuktu is also not the only option, that you would have for resources for homeschooling. I haven't been able to go to the other stores yet. I basically been finding everything that I need at Timbuktu bookstore. So I was asked a question, whether I felt like it would be necessary to ship material or bring your homeschooling material, if you're moving from the U.S., or if you should just like get your curriculum from here in Gambia. So I would say it could definitely give you like a head start if you're able to just bring the content that you'll need. Bring the material that you'll need for like your first year of homeschooling here in Gambia. It will give you a head start, and it'll also give you a chance to be able to take your time and look for material, because there may be things available here, but they may not be suitable for your child, or you just may not want to use the resources that they have here. So I would definitely say if you're able to bring like your first year's material for homeschooling here in Gambia, to go ahead and do that, and then you can take your time just like shopping around for different resources here, which they have a lot of resources here in Gambia, for homeschooling. They also have several different office supply stores. I had someone to ask me like if they have printers and things like that, here in Gambia. They definitely do. They have electronic stores, they have staples, they have printers, they have like they have homeschooling material. You can purchase those things here, but in my opinion, a lot of the things here are more costly than what they are in the U.S. So if you're going to be shipping things over, you may want to consider like shipping your homeschooling material, or you may want to consider purchasing things there and bringing them with you, or shipping it over here to Gambia. It could just save you a lot of time and money. Whenever you first get to Gambia, it'll be overwhelming anyway, adjusting to a new country, but then getting out and trying to find stores. Like the roads are set up differently, the stores and the locations, and there are not like street signs on every street, so that could be frustrating. And with moving to a new country is overwhelming enough. So I would say if you don't have to worry about looking for material and resources outside in the department stores for your child's homeschooling, then that would just make it an easier transition. The children and I spend 2 of our homeschooling days at my farm, and then we spend 2 of our homeschooling days at home. I feel like it's really important for them to get outside of the home environment and into a different learning setting, at least a couple of days out of the week. So my farm really comes into handy. It's a nice outdoor environment, but they also have indoor learning centers for children. So I just wanted to show a little bit of the beautiful greenery of the Gambia here. It is one of my absolute favorite parts of living in Gambia, just the beautiful nature and the green and the scenery. I really love the environment, and I always enjoy the nature of Gambia. You excited?
Yes. Hi everybody. How are you all today? You sleep well? Feeling energized?
So I wanted to come in and show a little bit of the numeracy lab before the students came in, because I try my best to not get too, people in my videos like without permission. But so this is the math lab. And the way how they have it set up here is they have different labs, and they have it based on the student's interests. So if you have, it reminds me actually of like a Montessori type setup. Salwa. Yeah, it reminds me of a Montessori style of learning, because they don't force the children to go into any lab. They don't force the children to go into any particular lab. It's basically interest. It's by interest. So if they love math, they have the desire to learn more math, then they would use the math lab. If they have the desire to learn more science-based interest, then they would use the science lab, like that. So they have like different puzzles, games, posters, and so I figured before the students came in here, I could just show a little bit of this lab. You're mad you have to do your work? Zainab, you're mad you have to do your work? Oh, you don't want them to see you on camera being bad?
Mommy, another paper.
You want another paper? Okay. Why are you mad, Zainab? Go ahead, do your assignment so you can go play. So right now the girls are doing their assignments that we do in between them attending the labs here at my farm. This is actually a couple of books that I brought from the U.S., from Barnes & Noble, because that was the store that I got my homeschooling resources, and I brought those from the U.S. But the books that they're working in right now, they came from Timbuktu bookstore. I bring their reading. You're going to do your work too, bud. Hold on. Yeah, I do. I bring their reading for them to do here at my farm, and a few other assignments and activity books, because they switch up in between learning. So they switch up in between the labs here and the homeschooling assignments that I have. So it's a really nice homeschool friendly environment here at my farm. It is structured, but then also it's flexible at the same time. So, they can learn either way. Come on, boys. Come on, let's go this way. They can learn either way, as far as like doing their assignment first and then going into the labs that they have here at my farm, or they can enjoy the labs first. They have students in the labs. So the girls went in there first. They were in the art and creativity lab. They kind of got bored in there and wanted to come out and do their regular assignment. You know how kids are. So, they came out, and I have their work ready. I brought here, for them to do. So that's basically how our days go here at my farm. I have their curriculum that I bring, and then they're able to just switch in between learning in the labs here and doing their work that I bring from home. They have friends here, they make friends here, and they get to interact with other children. Assalamu alaikum, Layla.
Did you want to see my friend?
Of course of course I want to see your friend. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? You and Fatima? Nice to meet you. Yes. Yeah, one of the things that was really important to me when we moved here was the children learning the local languages. At least one of them, you know. We started out trying to learn Mandinka, and then when the children were going to the Quran school, which I'll have to talk to you guys about a little bit later in the video, so make sure you stick to the end of the video, because I definitely want to tell you why they're not at the Quran school anymore that they were at here in Gambia. But yeah, so with them coming to my farm, hopefully inshallah they'll be able to pick up a lot of the local languages. When they were in the local Quran school, they learned a lot of like they were learning 3 different languages, you know, all at one. And unfortunately they're not there anymore. But yeah, so with them being in this type of environment, I have high hopes of them also picking up, you know, some Fulla, some Mandinka and Wolof, inshallah. But yeah, so this is what the children do to we come here and they interact with other children, they interact with the locals, and they get their recreational activities, they get their energy out. They take breaks in between being in the learning labs here. So they were just in there learning, and then they kind of got a break to come out. They get several breaks throughout the day to just come out and stretch your legs, walk around the farm, and basically do what they're interested in doing as kids. It's really flexible and laid back. It honestly is just perfect, you know, for my family, especially because I get to stay and hang around. You know, I get to come here and bring Selwa and the children that I have that are not school age, and I can just be on the campus for part of the day or the whole day. You know, you can leave your children or you can stay here, and the lessons and everything are guided in there, so it's not like you have to go into the lab to do teaching. It just complements the unschooling type of learning that I have. You know, this school year for my children, it just really complements that, because they have these labs available, and they have teachers inside of there to help the children. They're always doing something positive, different activities for learning, whether it's puzzles, games. This is my farm. This is it. The farm is really big. I wanted to just kind of tour the whole place, but it's a busy day. So one day I'll try to show everything, but I'm just kind of showing the front part. They have a whole back part. It's just beautiful here. They have different fruit trees, and you know, the children learn skills like gardening and, you know, planting and all that stuff. They plant different things here. It's just so nice. A very therapeutic learning environment, and the children are able to get their academics as well. So it just really works out. It's working out for us. So I wanted to mention that my farm is a nonprofit. So there's no cost for you to bring your children here, for them to take advantage of the learning and the different labs that they have here at my farm. So it's nonprofit, you know, it wouldn't cost you anything. So if you're in Gambia and you are a homeschooling mom, or if you're considering homeschooling, you know, you might want to come and check out my farm just for extra resources. So they're open 6 days a week, and they open at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you decide to bring your children here to take advantage of the learning here at my farm, you know, you're not stuck into any set schedule. You wouldn't be stuck into any set schedule. You can come every day if you like. You know, you can come 2 days a week. You can come as often as you like, you know, or you could only come once a week, whatever it is. You know, you set the schedule that you want your children to come and to learn. And you also don't have to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's really set up in a flexible way for you to still be able to homeschool and stick to the curriculum that you have outside of my farm. So it's really working out for me and my family. And what I do is I bring the curriculum that I have for my children, and in between their learning, you know, in the lab and their learning outdoor or their playtime, I squeeze the lessons in that I have for them. It's just like with me having an unschooling type of mindset this year, it makes the learning more pleasurable, like for my children, and it makes the teaching more pleasurable for me, because it's just overall like less stress to stick to, oh, we have to start at 8 o'clock in the morning, we have to start at 9 o'clock in the morning, we have to have school 5 days a week. So right now, me and the kids are having homeschooling on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then they have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday off, and that's just what's working, you know, for my family. But so I had the option to choose between like enrolling the children in the international schools. They have international schools here where they can go through like the traditional schooling and high school, and they're able to get credits for those. So I had the options to go that route or to continue homeschooling. Like Adam, he is in the 9th grade. He's 14. This is his first year in high school. So it was a really tough decision, like whether I wanted to put him in the international school or whether I wanted to continue homeschooling him. I actually thought it was my 6th year homeschooling, but this is actually my 7th year homeschooling. But so what led me to actually keep him home instead of putting him in the international school is because I really feel like at this point he has his mindset. I feel like at this point he has his mindset as far as what he wants to do. Career wise, he's really dedicated to computer learning, IT and computer repair, and that's basically what he wants. He wants to be a business owner. I'm more so interested in my children creating a life that they're passionate about, and loving education, loving to learn and exploring like who they are as individuals, instead of trying to force a specific like mindset about learning and education, and you know, them being focused on who it is and what it is like the world feels like they should be, and how everyone else feels like they should perform academically, as you know, as far as their age and their grade level is. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I didn't always have the proper mindset that I needed as a homeschooling mom. I didn't really have the proper mindset, and I feel like a lot of the mindset that I did have was kind of toxic, and that leaked off onto my children. Like, for example, continuously comparing where your child is academically to where they should be as far as statistics, you know, and the public school system, and that basic layout about like, okay, your child should know this by the 5th grade, your child should know that, you know. So while I was getting comfortable homeschooling, I had a really negative mindset. I didn't have the right mindset. So, you know, I was continuously comparing, and I actually would verbalize without even really thinking about the damage that it could potentially do, you know, like for my children. But I would find myself saying, you know, you have to know this, you have to learn this, you know, because if you're ever put in a school system, they're going to expect you to know this. Or if I ever have to put you in public school and you don't know this, they're going to hold you back, you know. And unfortunately, I didn't realize like that is hindering, you know, to a child's performance academically. That's hindering to them having a healthy relationship with learning and school, you know, to have someone constantly, you know, putting like that fear in their mind that, oh, what if I'm not doing good enough, or what if I'm not as smart as other children because I'm homeschooled. So my daughter Aaliyah, my oldest, she's graduated. I had her home. She was homeschooled from the 7th grade and throughout high school. I had her home, and I can say that she was the proof in the pudding. So I basically felt confident that she was where she needed to be to succeed and be able to like pass college exams and, you know, things like that with homeschooling. When she graduated high school and applied to the technical college when we were living in the U.S.
Did you get my school book?
Your school books are in the car. You're going to do school. You're going to do school, okay? you know, the unschooling thing is really working out for us. Like the children are, they're just very motivated they're very motivated to learn. Yes, you have 2 school books, okay? So you're definitely gonna do your school books, but I gotta do my video first, okay? That's Issa. So yeah, Aaliyah went and she applied to the college and she took the entrance exams, and when we got her results, that had to be one of the best days of my life, honestly, really, because she was just so excited that the numbers that she got on her exams were beyond what was on the charts, you know. And Issa, you're gonna hit me with that. Move that back. I'm trying to record. You know, and I said, Aaliyah, I told you you weren't behind. Like, I told you you would be fine, that you would pass these tests, that you would do well, that you are capable and beyond of going through college, you know. So I really had to see that for me to truly have the confidence to be like, okay, I can do this again. But, you know, with Adam, I have to say that it has been so much more difficult homeschooling a teenage boy. I just had and have continued to have so many problems that I did not have with Aaliyah. I never felt like I was honestly like a good fit for homeschooling my son. I know that sounds bad, but I never felt like we would bump heads a lot. It just didn't work out as well, you know, with Adam as it did with Aaliyah, you know. But even still, I considered putting him in the international school here in Gambia, and he really did not want to go. Like, he really did not want to go to the international school. And he already knows what it is that he wants to do and what he wants to do with his life and business-wise. I know that, you know, computer is, that's where the world is right now, and that's where the future is, you know. So how could I ever frown upon a career choice like that, a career path like that? And so right now, with us doing unschooling, we're gaining the skills and him getting a head start and enrolling him into different IT programs online. Here at my farm, they have an IT program, and Adam's attending that program, and he's also lined up for 2 different online courses, you know, for computer IT. Assalamu alaikum. All in all, I really had to change my mindset about learning and how learning should be for homeschoolers and for my children. And I had to overcome those fears of them being held back or possibly suffering consequences of not being exactly where other students are. But a lot of the children that are not keeping up with their peers, they're suffering emotionally, mentally, you know. And I never wanted that for my children. I just never wanted it for my children. I just wanted, I feel like it's the relationship that children have with learning. It's really important. If your child is able to learn at a pace that they can keep up with, at a pace that doesn't constantly make them feel like they're dumb or they're behind or they're, you know, just not as good as their peers or the other students. And, you know, if they're able to take their time and develop a love for learning, they'll always want to learn, you know. So my children on their days off, you know, they're asking me if they can do their schoolwork, and I just feel like that's how learning should be, you know. So with us unschooling, it started with me having the confidence and the appropriate mindset, because you can't teach your child to have confidence and believe in something that you don't have confidence in, and, you know, that you don't believe in. So I say this is my 7th year homeschooling, but more than half of that time I really felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I really felt like this was a trial and error thing. I had doubts about whether I would go back to traditional schooling, or, you know, even with moving here to Gambia, I wasn't sure if I was going to try the international school route. You know, I wasn't sure. So, but things just started opening up for us here, you know, and I started seeing opportunities, you know, for Adam. I started introducing things to him. So I gave him choices, options, you know. Adam, I said, okay, it's important for you to enjoy your learning. and it's important for you to learn how you want to learn and what you want to learn. So I asked him, these are the options. What is it that you want to do? Do you want to try the international school? Do you want to do homeschooling? And he hated me as his teacher, honestly, by the way. He definitely hated me being his teacher. And I can't say I enjoyed it so much, but I just felt like overall, the good would outweigh the bad, definitely, as far as the future was concerned. He needs to be given the tools to succeed in the areas of life where he feels like he belongs, so with computers. So that's what we're doing, with his unschooling, his academics. We're doing the general academics. I'm doing computer worksheets from education.com. I have timeforlearning.com as a resource as well. But the bulk of Adam's education and his academics are surrounding what he wants to do, the career path that he wants to have after high school. A lot of the mistakes that I made with homeschooling had to do with like forcing certain performance in certain areas with particular subjects. Like math is not my strong subject, so I worried about that a lot. I worried about that with homeschooling my children, that they would be limited, that my limitations and wherever I fell short, that would limit them in their learning. But alhamdulillah, nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect. And I just feel like, with all the mistakes that I did make, homeschooling definitely wasn't one of them. It hasn't been perfect. It's a journey. I'm still learning at year 7. I'm still learning. But I've had like the biggest mindset shift. And I do believe that moving to a different society and a different environment overall, coming here to Gambia, it definitely helped my mindset. And it helped me to be more relaxed about my children's education, because children don't do their best under stress and anxiety and worry and fear, and so when you're homeschooling and you have all of that can be projected onto your child, really, without you even really realizing it. So yeah, that's why I took the homeschooling route. And I'm continuing to take the homeschooling route here in Gambia, because I just feel like it's important for children to grow as learners, as individuals, and for them to have a customized education. Your child is not going to necessarily excel in the department that you want to see them excel in, and I had to grasp that. And I had to accept that, and I had to let it go and just let my children be like who they are and learn how they need to learn in a way that they're encouraged to learn. Yeah, so that has definitely been like the biggest mindset shift for me. The mindset, more positive, more flexible, like learning, being more guided by the child, with unschooling, them choosing what it is that they want to their school to be focused on, and then like the parents providing the resources and guiding their lessons, so that of course so that they can have structure, and assessing their learning. All of that is important, but I just feel like nothing is more important than my children having a healthy relationship with learning. I never want to hear my children say, I hate school. I didn't go the route of international schooling. I didn't want to force my children into an environment that I felt like would not keep them at a healthy balance. As far as like, okay, academics, and then emotional well-being, not that children cannot be emotionally stable and well in that type of school setting, but for me, I'm their mom. I just felt like that's the best thing. I feel like that was the best thing for my children is being home. It's also aligned with how I want to raise them. I just feel like with my children leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning and coming home basically almost at dinner time, and having to spend a lot of that time preparing for the next school day, I just feel like I can't raise my children the way how I need to raise them, the way I want to raise them. It leaves me with very little influence, very little time, and yeah, so that wasn't right for us. It didn't align with even like our whole reason of
moving to a different society. I wanted to be able to really raise my children. Of course, they're going to do whatever they do, you know, as they grow up and when they grow up. But right now, I needed to make sure that they have what they need to be well-rounded, inshallah. So yeah, we didn't go the international school route, but everyone has to weigh and see, you know, what fits them best, because everyone is not a homeschooler. And even for me, I'm saying like 7 years in, I'm still learning, you know. So I hope that me sharing this about our journey with homeschooling was helpful. And I did have that as a special request, you know, to touch on that subject in the homeschooling video about whether I was, you know, what my thoughts about international schooling. I hear things about the school. I hear good things. I hear negative things as well. But what was at the school, the international school, or any of the other schools, it had very little to do with my decision to homeschool my children. I was already a homeschooling mom, you know, before we moved to Gambia, and I just have all of my personal reasons for doing that. So it doesn't matter. It could be like an A++ top-notch school, and I probably would still choose to homeschool my children.
The three girls, Layla, Zainab, and Sumaya, were going to one of the local Quran and Arabic schools. And unfortunately, I had to pull them out of there. They were there for a few months. They were learning Quran, they were learning Arabic, they were learning du'as, they were learning some of the local languages, they were learning Wolof, some Mandinka, and Fula. But unfortunately, I had some really huge problems with some of the cultural things that go on here, and I just haven't gotten quite adapted to some things that go on like in the school setting. So a lot of the times, the older children that are further along with the Quran recitation, like the teenagers, they are put in place as teachers over the younger children. And that would be fine, but what I've witnessed is like, yes, bullying. So I was asked about that question, you know, having issues with bullying in the schools here. So I don't think that they consider it bullying. I think that it's more of like a cultural thing. Unfortunately, I had a really hard time with that. Just accepting that an older child is able to hit my younger child, and, you know, with sticks or whatever it is that they discipline the children with. So to make a long story short, that was the issue that I had when my children were in the local Quran school. So they're not attending one of the Quran schools right now. I'm looking for a placement in another one, but I'm being really picky about where I put them. So I'm taking my time trying to find a good placement. Aaliyah and Adam have been in a Quran school. I want to say it's going on like 5 months now that they've been in the school that they're in right now, and they're not having any problems. But they are older, and Adam looks older than what he actually is. So I guess the boys, you know, they don't really want to bother him like that. But yeah, for my younger children, unfortunately, like that's what happened, you know, when they were in the Quran school. And I did go down there and I did speak to them, but anyway, I don't really want to get into it too much, but I'll just say it didn't work out. It didn't work out for us, and I hope that inshallah I can find another school to put my children in. I don't know if one of the problems was that my children were the only Americans in that group. You know, I don't know if that was the problem. And all of the children were getting hit, and my whole issue was like when they would tell me that it didn't matter if they were doing something wrong or if they were not doing something wrong, they were going to get hit anyway. And I was like, okay, that's not okay. Like, we're not going to be able to do that, you know. So I had to go down there, and it just didn't work out. So that's what happened with that. Yeah, that's another one of the big reasons why I love homeschooling, because I'm able to see what's going on, you know, with my children. And I know that when children are in a school setting, a lot of times they won't always tell you what's going on, you know. They won't always tell you. Sometimes a child is just doing what they have to do to like cope and get through whatever it is that they're experiencing at school, and they don't always want to come home and have to talk about that or share it with you, and then you get upset, and then you go down to the school and they even have more problems, because when it was brought to my attention about the bullying in the Quran school, my children almost regretted telling me because I got so upset, and I had to go down there, and I told them I have to come down here. Now, I didn't go down to the school acting crazy or anything, but you just have to put your foot down, about those things, and it's not okay, and let them know, that it's not okay. My child doesn't have to be here, and if that's how it's going to be, then my child just won't be here. There are other places, where you can put your children, but yeah, so that's the thing. They don't always, and they didn't tell me for a long time, and I was upset about that too. They didn't know what the consequences would be. Would they not be able to go to the school anymore? Would I get someone at the school in trouble? Some of the girls wanted to stay, some of them didn't want to stay anymore. So it was a real unfortunate situation. But I know that the bullying is actually normal. They don't consider it bullying. It's just like a way of a part of life, amongst the Africans. So that's another thing. Like with my smaller children, I would not put them. I know that the international schools are diverse, but I still wouldn't put them. I wouldn't put them in that environment, because like I just need to know what's going on with my children. I need to know what's going on with them, and it would be really difficult to put them in a school setting when I know that it's a cultural thing, like the differences in culture, and it just takes a lot of practice getting used to things that are different from where you came from. But yeah, so I don't actually have any intentions of putting my children in traditional school here in Gambia, but I'm definitely looking for another Quran school. I want to try it out, and I don't know if I'm able to find a Quran school that is more diverse. I'm still looking, but I'm willing to try it out. And even I spoke to Leah and Adam about the school that they go to. They don't want their younger siblings going there, but it's working out for them. But they don't want the younger children going to the school that they're at. So alhamdulillah, that's the situation with that.